A warm welcome to all our viewers to our series Back to School. Today, Dr. Beate Strittmatter is with us again. Welcome, dear Beate. I read your book, Save Love.
I can see.
Yes, I know. That's me.
Did you try to eat it?
My wife always says you can't do things like that. And I say, that's me, the slob, but I work when I have time. And that's in the bathtub.
Very, very nice.
But I really devoured this book, and well, that's what it looks like, because I have rarely, honestly, very rarely, read such a profound book. What should actually serve as a guide to life. I think such books would have to be read as a child in school, simply to understand that everything is not just materially, but that there is like a resonance principle in the world that just magically pulls us together or pushes us apart. A small example, because I see it in myself, when I drive to a new city where I've never been. You are already stressed, so you'd rather go to the city you already know, because that's familiar. I feel good, know my way around. So you're always looking a bit for what you know. And that's exactly what you have repeatedly explained to me in the last few episodes, that as a creature of habit, you attract what you know. So you get your father's problem back through your boss, or you get your mother's problem back through a partner. And I find the topic extremely exciting. Please, let's just dive back into this sphere.
When you say, and that is really true, you attract what you know. And the three most important chapters in the beginning we have, how do you feel? You feel like when you have a weak self-esteem that comes from before too. When you repeat the sound of childhood, anything, you look for a boss, a partner who is like your boss from the past, like the father or mother used to be. I was wondering, why do you attract this so magically? Okay, the smart people say you should heal, but nobody has any instructions for this, so you can be lucky if you heal. But what you can say directly in any case is it is so familiar that, as you said with your example, with the car in the city, you know where to go. And when you've experienced as a girl, make yourself small, and make yourself sweet like the young woman, or girl who learned that she was always everything to her father, and after a certain time she got older, when she was 5, her father just didn't look after her like that anymore. Then he didn't have much time for her, and then she was so smart back then, and put little bows in her hair and spoke with a high-pitched voice and acted like she was 2. And then Dad took her on his lap again. She internalized it so much. If you want to interest a man in you, you have to be small, and maybe even an IQ 35.
Then you're attracting a father again, right?
Then you attract a man in the first place. I've seen a woman like that who wondered why all her partners, beautiful woman, beautiful, if you'd seen her on the street, but she had this mechanism and sold herself a bit below a lot her intellectual value, spoke with a high-pitched voice a bit and was just sweet. It used to work, but not anymore.
What did she attract then? Actually a father figure, or who doesn't take her seriously?
This is more about what mechanisms did you learn as a child that brought you through childhood. And these mechanisms will hinder you quite often later. So a mechanism where you think, she learned that a man is not interested in me, and where you think the man can never be interested in me if I don't make myself cute and small. And then she came after the third relationship. She was desperate. She told me that her partner was with her in New York, and she asked him, where are we going now? And then at some point, it annoys the men. And then there are answers like, I've already explained that 3 times. Well, how am I supposed to understand? What part of it is not to be understood? This is really your reaction shows it all. Those are absolutely derogatory remarks. She creates contempt in her partners. The mechanism from before, it just doesn't work anymore now. But it's the only mechanism she's learned. And there we come back to why I always look for something similar. Because I know how to get by. For example, the girl...
Like through town.
Like through town, the girl who notices, OK, Dad and Mum argue, the two older ones are in front, I make myself very small, and I make myself very small and just be nice when someone speaks to me. And she takes that with her, and she takes that with her, and so she doesn't take her place at all. And that's very typical, for example, with the young woman who comes to me. Her mother sends her, who was 30, very smart woman, has a managerial job in administration and has MS. If I could do something, today I know, don't even try to do something like that without going into depth. And I already knew that at work she is Mother Teresa for everyone. And at home, she tells me, they have a child together and not married. Today they are married. And her husband works as she works, and he says, he wasn't born for housework. One should say, hey, what is this? You weren't born for housework? And she tells me that. I say, doesn't that annoy you? Then she says, oh, I'm already used to it. I said something was wrong with the methods we have. I can see. What is your liver doing? The liver is the organ of anger. A healthy organ has a straight energy field that is large. I can tap that with a polarization filter. Her liver, energy field at 30 degrees in weakness. I say, it can't be what you're saying. The anger is somewhere. Think about it. I've waited until she realised for herself. Then she says, well, they say that the disease that I have is an auto-aggressive disease. Maybe it's there. My anger. And that's something I'd like to put on the table like this. Nature didn't do that so well. With big emotions, the soul sometimes says, you know what, that's too much for you now. You don't need to feel it. We'll do it. You have a weak shoulder there. We'll put it in there. Then you have a shoulder problem. You just go from doctor to doctor. Just be sure that you don't have to feel this anger. Patients tell me, anger? No, I'm not angry. I don't notice. She got it very quickly. I said, please imagine to watch yourself and your husband as an outsider. What would you say to the woman when her husband, her working husband, and she also works, tells her in the evening while doing the housework,
get you away or something?
I say, look at it. She says, what should I do? She was there right away. What should I do? I say, could it be that you learned as a child, don't take up much space and always be nice? Then she says, yes, I always got away with it. I was kind of under the radar. Under the radar. Then the mother doesn't look at what she was doing. She could do more of what she wanted. People were nice to her too because she was nice. She was never able to articulate what she really wanted. And now she's doing the same thing because of her belief that is engraved here. If you are nice, the others are nice too. Don't they say when you smile in the mirror smiles back? But that's not true in life. When you smile into life, life smiles back, yes. But to be able to smile, you really have to be tidy. When you smile like that with the anger below, nobody smiles back. The woman was smart. That was wonderful. This woman, and this is now, I'm sure it was 10 years ago that I saw her. And that's good because then I can overlook the case. She was only there twice. The first time I discussed with her what to do, OK, first of all, in the workplace, same topic as what we've had before, with a lady who says, she annoys me because she's always so loud at work. Gather what you do well in the workplace. Show it, do good, and talk about it. And the next one, start with this hooped skirt. Take up more space. And do you think it is possible that you and your husband will really, really share responsibilities? that you aren't the one who has to bear the brunt at home just to keep the relationship nice. She started working with it all by herself. The second time, or maybe she even came 3 times, she told me, imagine what happened. I'm standing at the ironing board in the evening. Like every evening. He's sitting on the couch like every evening. And the child is in bed, brought to bed by her.
Like every evening.
My husband says to me, hey, honey, what you're doing is really exhausting. How can I help you? Then she says to me, I dropped the ironing board. And then I say to her, and so now you. Did you change anything about your husband? She says, no. Where did you change something? Here. I've heard that so often in the past. You can only change one thing, that's you. You have to do something with you, then everything will change. I got it. But those cases when you can understand it, she changed in herself, that now she takes her place, that she makes herself big, that she knows what she's doing, that she wears the hoop skirt. Many women can't even look their partners in the eye. Many are also conflict averse. Oh God, if there is a conflict, it will be all over in a moment. If I could give a wedding present to partners, do you know what my present would be?
No, I'm curious.
Sometimes this topic moves me so much that it touches me, because it has so much effect in depth. I would give them as a wedding present the ability to deal with conflict. The ability to deal with conflict, to hold out, to endure an argument. Often the relationship starts to moulder and to rot. Whenever the honey bear and the cutie mouse, with the high voice and no, we don't want to look at that. We don't look at hot topics, that could be dangerous. Then we could split up, just like Mum and Dad back then. But they didn't even know. And then it is not looked at. And then it stays in that shadow. It stays in the shadow of the relationship. Again, the sound of childhood from the old days. We learn that when you argue, things get really bad. Such relationships run up against the wall at some point, because someone gets into an anger situation and then bursts. And when the collected anger comes up, remember the explosion just now in, what was it, Beirut, right? There wasn't just the explosive powder stored in the room, but also fireworks. One thing led to another. So you store this and store that, and at some point there's a spark and you have so much collateral damage. You have so much collateral damage. So many people were dead. Half the city is broken. This is a wonderful example of what happens when there is no conflict resolution. Stand still and say, but watch out, I feel it is that way. But that's the way it is for me. You make yourself empathetic for the partner. I wouldn't say that I don't swallow one thing or another myself. He probably didn't mean it that way, and my partner is probably swallowing even more. Sometimes I am careless in what I say. There are studies on it, and that should be encouraging. Couples who can argue are long-term couples. Couples who never argue, with them, the warehouse can go up in flames. Flames is not enough. That's the force of the explosion that comes next, and when it comes, you are, and you never have, and you always are. When that happens, you know there's really something going on. The two partners have their packages that they just put in the blast. But back to the young woman. She has started to show herself at work. She's really implemented what I discussed with her. And there you see, you don't always need a psychologist, you don't always need to immediately blame someone from back then. It makes sense to look, where did you get that from? But the question of who is to blame and who is to blame, and then we talk 10 times about who is to blame, it doesn't lead anywhere anytime soon. And self-esteem has built up in the relationship. She told him, listen, do you want to maybe clear the table now or later? And just assuming that he would do it. And this tops it all. This woman has not had a single MS attack to this day. Without medication? And that's incredible.
Medicine is not that far yet to look deeply into these problems. I found a quote in your book. I thought it was a really, really great story, where body and soul converse. The soul just says, I can say what I want, he doesn't listen to me. And the body says, tell me, he listens to me.
I'll do it for you.
I'll do it for you.
There really is this translation of the soul. I thought that in medicine, after 10 years of practice, I thought I know a lot. I read 5 medical magazines every week. At night, I devour medicine texts. There is still a need for further training. I'm a general practitioner, and I also think that as a general practitioner, and use, for example, things that I told you earlier with someone who has weight problems, that they might have a blockage in the centre. I use that for my work in practice, and that is really interesting. But at some point it dawned on me how outrageously easy some things are translated by the soul. Incredible. Incredible. I'll give you an example. A woman from Luxembourg comes to me and she says she has so much foot pain and she hadn't seen me for 15 years. And then she found my new practice and said she had such foot pain now and that I always helped her quickly. That's a clear threat. Help me now, quickly. That was a clear announcement. Then I thought, oh, please don't, please don't, please don't, please don't let her have Morton's syndrome. Morton's syndrome is when the nerves between the bones of the feet here, where the toes start, when those between the bones of the feet become infected, and then you can't stand on it, and then you can't walk well. And I did orthopaedics for 6 years. When an orthopaedic surgeon says it's easy to treat, he knows it's not true. It's very difficult with anaesthesia, with surgery. No matter what, it's difficult. I thought, shit, what do I do with her? She comes to me from Luxembourg. What do I do with her? I can't tell her, you know, I've had this stewardess before and I couldn't help her either, and she had to give up her job. Things like that are still on my neck today. 15 years before, there was a stewardess. I couldn't help her. By the way, you can recognise the advance by the fact that they tell you the cases where they got stuck. The beginner will tell you, and then I laid them down and I put the needle, then they got up, and then they were pain-free. Okay, we know that.
Yes, but that is well seen. This is exactly what life is. Those who say everything and can do everything.
No, but it is actually the case that we have high standards and actually treat this pain that way. But we are interested in where we did not succeed. Back to this woman and the image that creates the soul. So I laid her down and I think, okay, I know I don't have to do anything on the feet. That has never helped. On the ears, the feet depicted on the ears. Didn't help me out at the time either. What do I do now? What do I do now? We have a map that comes from a Professor Barr, a very brilliant man who was the president of our acupuncture society for decades, and he has a map with psychological points. There are very strange things on it, parental love and self-hatred and such. You don't show it to beginners because otherwise you think you're in the esoteric corner, even though beginners often have the map already. I put the map next to the ear and say, what do you want to do? You do it now. I look at where are these points, and I look with my instrument on her ear, which points are then electrically active. You can find them with a point locator or with a 3-volt hammer. I look, which of these points does she have? Not there, not there, not there. Boom, here! I find a point. It says on the map, have not lived their lives enough. The woman, an elderly lady, should I ask her, have you lived enough? Should I do that maybe? I ask her very carefully. How is your life right now? Do you feel So I sneak around her. Do you feel that you have enough time for yourself? She comes out and says, my mother is sick and she's with me to take care of her now, a lovely old lady. I knew her. And how does that work? Well, I can't leave her alone for a moment, she thought. That means she never did anything, not even a walk, nothing, to leave her alone. This is also something where we actually need tuition. How does it work when an elderly person comes to us? And then I thought, okay, I'll prick this point on her ear first. Hasn't lived life. And then I caught her by saying, could you imagine that your mother will need you for a while longer? And that she needs the batteries fully charged? Could you imagine that too? She says yes. I say, you have to do something for yourself for an hour a day. Urgently, because your mother needs you. I gave her a conditio sine qua non, we would say in medicine, a condition she will even be able to take care for her mother in the long run. She says, yes, I'll have to do that then. She resolved to do it. I pricked her point of not having lived life, because what kind of picture has the soul shown? Her life was limping right now. She limped because her foot hurt. And now I'm telling you what happened. And that hasn't happened just once, it has happened 10 times since then, exactly with this disease. I leave her there with the needles. I pricked another pain needle, but this one needle. I leave her alone for 10 minutes, I come back, and I'm already thinking about what to tell her, if nothing has changed. She gets up, tries her feet and says, well, I knew you would help me quickly. I was like, therefore, as a therapist, you don't have to show how amazed you are. Okay, and then I knew I had to look more. What do people really have? This being handicapped in life, handicapping oneself. It quite often results in what is known as Morton's neuralgia. I've had 12 cases since then where I see when I do that, when I draw people's attention, the soul translates directly.
On the body.
Incredible. It's just one of those cases. A young woman who came to foot pain, and also did the same, and the next time she says, foot pain was gone for 5 days, but then it came back. I say, interesting. We talked about what your goal in life is. And then she says, that's the problem. I have no idea what to do. Yes, well, then it'll come back. I'll be there until you have something. These direct translations. Woman with sinus problems. I couldn't help her. I did everything. And then when I said, I don't think I can help you, but just so it doesn't disappear, I don't even know you and I don't have any reason to ask. Are you sick with something? How do you know that? My husband has been annoying me all the time. How do you know that? And yes, exactly. How do you even know? I didn't know. Now think about a relationship problem. You get angry. Now let's go back to the topic. It's your thing. Let's assume that the woman is annoyed at home with her husband who's acting like her father, but she doesn't know. She fights against it. She wants to change him. It's like wanting to push a ball up a steep slope, up the mountain, and then off you go. It keeps falling down, like a little mouse running up a soap-smeared sloping surface. It keeps falling down again, and again. And she doesn't know, and at some point she's sick of it. It generated endless medical costs. She's already had 2 surgeries. Then the whole thing exacerbated. She had to have antibiotics. That was the answer. And then we got somewhere. And then the sinus was fine. A woman with facial pain. Facial pain, they are sent by colleagues. Facial pain. Oh no, that was so difficult. I only got it step by step. And facial pain. One thing struck me when I undressed her. Bra matched, panties, singlet in the same colour. She was wearing light-coloured clothes. I'd be dirty after 2 hours. The face, what you show, the mask. Then I asked about her relationship. And that's where it all came out. She was always nice, she preserved the facade. But at some point her soul said, girl,
it wasn't real.
If you keep going like this, you will say on your deathbed you missed your life. Isn't it the worst when you have to say on your deathbed, I actually missed my life? That hit her, and that's when she started changing things at home. And then the facial pain went away because she changed something. Sometimes pain is such a gift when you're able to hear it. And when she came for the last time, she says, you know, the pain in my face is gone. And her clothes didn't match anymore either. Yesterday, I threw a plate after my husband. Okay, it's not the recipe for everyone, but the message comes across.
Yeah, I got it.
People come to me with pain. I get to the bottom of it through detours.
Dear Beate, please let us do another episode after this one.
Yes, another and another.
Because it's so exciting, and I'm very sure that we will actually totally touch the people, the viewers at home. That today we have really risen to this premier class. Thanks to your book too. This is really, Save Love is really an incredible story. Sincere congratulations on this bestseller. And thank you for being here and talking to us about this valuable topic. Dear viewers, stay tuned. Next week, we'll continue with Beate Strittmatter. All the best and see you next time.